Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the Rivian that I've wanted to see for a long time, but have not seen yet until today. So this is my perfect EV. Now I know what you're thinking if you're watching this channel. Maybe you watch it for the power sports, but we're gonna throw this in the off-road vehicles. We're also gonna throw it in the vehicle review playlist because this is a fully off-road EV, and that makes it unique in the EV segment. Even though the Cybertruck's out, I still think this is sort of more the better off-road one. So we're gonna talk about that. So here's what's going on in this video. This is a super cool one because I'm filming this here in New Brunswick, in Fredericton, and this exact vehicle has gone with its owners out to the territories in Canada, out to Newfoundland, everywhere. So we're gonna talk charging network, we're gonna talk charging problems, we're gonna go real world. I'm gonna link to their channel in the description if you wanna follow them across their journey. And we're gonna talk about a couple of the things that I think are really cool about this vehicle. Now again, if you've only followed me on this channel, you should probably know that I used to host a pretty big channel where we were really into EVs. So EVs is something I know maybe even better than motorcycles and power sports and that kind of thing. If this isn't for you, that's cool, but if it is for you, I hope you'll stick with me for a minute because we're gonna go through what I think is cool and then talk to the owners of this vehicle and talk about what they think is pretty cool. So let's get going. All right, so let's place this in the marketplace right now. First of all, Rivian is about to introduce their next smaller version. Now that's gonna compete with my car. My car has two motors. It's the Tesla Model Y dual motor. This thing has 4 motors, so already this is a performance vehicle and that makes it pretty cool. This thing will outperform most sports cars. That's not why I like it. Why I like it is because I used to drive a Jeep Wrangler 4xe. It was the Rubicon model, it went everywhere off-road, and this thing really has a lot of that in it. I also used to drive a Hyundai Santa Cruz. It had a pretty cool back bed with a trunk underneath and a couple cool features in there. It was a unibody pickup. That's what this is. I also used to drive a Chev Colorado. This is very similar size to that as well. So this for me is the perfect unit, but we have to look at it in the context of the new Cybertruck. You can't talk electric trucks unless you talk Cybertrucks. And to me, as someone who studied the EV marketplace, the Cybertruck certainly has a polarizing view, and let's be honest, so does this. A couple things that are surprising about the Cybertruck though is it is an engineering marvel, but it does miss out on some packaging things that this thing still has, but it also is not nearly as aerodynamic as you would think. This is the most aerodynamic pickup truck anywhere. Not electric, not gas, the most aerodynamic pickup truck. That Cybertruck with its cool angles, actually not that aerodynamic. So right away you start with a base that's gonna give you great efficiency and great range. And range matters, especially for our guests, which you'll see in a few minutes here, as they travel across the country. So let's talk about a couple things that I think are cool about this. And this vehicle's loaded up with gear right now because, like I said, they're traveling across the country, but we're gonna show you a few things that I think are pretty cool. All right, so we're looking at the front of this truck. This has a front trunk. You can hit the button right here and it opens up. And as you do that, you have a really, really useful space. So as we talk about the Cybertruck has one of these as well. This is bigger. Now, I will knock Rivian for one thing. I do like the Ford F-150 because the front grille drops down and you have space, but the advantage of this is you can see when it's loaded, nothing is falling out the front, which is really nice because vehicles park on angles. And if you were to park a little bit downhill, you could lose some stuff. So a lot of storage out front, and in a pickup truck, that's a big deal. You only get this with electric pickup trucks, but you have indoor, or at least enclosed, lockable storage and a proper trunk. It's a huge advantage to EV pickup trucks over regular pickup trucks. So where I think the Rivian stands out is the entire package was built from the ground up, not based on a previous platform like the F-150, not based on the Cybertruck, which is Elon Musk's has to be weird and different. It's based on practicality, and you really see it with this gear tunnel here. Now, everybody's sort of seen the gear tunnel before. You press the button, I'm on a bit of an angle here, so I'm gonna pull it down like that. You can sit on this, you can hang out here. What's cool is if you wanna go real minimalistic camping, there's your camp chair. There's a ton of space in here, and one thing that people forget is that this is lockable storage that is also the full width of the vehicle. So you don't have that kind of large storage space for things like fishing rods, paddles for kayaks, longer type things. You wouldn't be able to fit that in the trunk, and traditionally you'd have to throw that in the back of the pickup bed. Now this one has the hard tonneau cover. We're gonna show you the bed in a second here, but every Rivian R1T has this space here, which gives you lockable enclosed storage, so you don't have to stick like a big toolbox inside to have that, but you have this. But the other thing I like about it is you can stick roof racks across the bed here, or you can stick roof racks across there. And if you've ever tried to tie something to a roof rack, it's pretty hard to do without something like this. So I can reach here, I can reach to the front panels, I can reach to these panels. These things hold 250 pounds. That's a lot heavier than I am. So you easily can stand up here over that glass roof, take your tie-down straps and wrap them around properly without having to hit something against that glass roof. So I really like this piece right here. And again, that storage space, just unheard of in the industry. So taking a look at the back of the Rivian, we're gonna open this up in a second, but first of all, the size of this. Again, it sort of feels like my Chev Colorado. It also feels a lot like the Hyundai Santa Cruz I had, simply because you have that smaller space, smaller trunk. And to me, that just makes it more drivable, more parkable, and more adventure style. So this pickup truck is not going to appeal to the people who want an F-150 or a Chev pickup or something like that. This is going to appeal to those adventure style people. And for those people, it works great. You have a little button here, the same as the gear tunnel there, which you can press down, and the tailgate comes down like that. It is a nice long tailgate. So even though the bed is a little shorter than some trucks, that longer tailgate really does give you a lot of space. And this is where that gear tunnel comes into play. Because if you were to carry longer things on here, suddenly you don't have any theft-proofness in the back here, but you do still have that gear tunnel. Inside the bed, we're gonna take you around here, show you some of their gear for a quick second, and show you a couple things I really like about this. So taking a look at the back here, like I said, really, really long piece here. And what's cool is to get that length, they actually drop the tailgate away from the truck instead of hinging it right on like the other trucks. That gives it a bit more of a curved back end. Probably that has to do with aerodynamics. And then you have this panel that kind of covers that area. So you end up with a very, very long tailgate here. A couple other cool things. We won't look at underneath the floor here, but there is an underfloor storage. Now the Honda Ridgeline has done this, the Santa Cruz has done this, and Rivian is doing this. The Cybertruck also has a trunk like this down there, but this one has the option of putting a spare tire in there. The Cybertruck does not. And if you're going to talk about an off-road vehicle, the ability to take a spare tire properly in the vehicle and not just lying in the bed, that to me is a nice advantage. Over here you have an air compressor, really cool thing. The owners of this were telling me that they had a low tire at one point, so they could pump it up with that. A whole bunch of other cool things with tires and pressures and pressure management on this thing. That's a whole other video. There's also two plugs on the outside, so if you think the F-150 is the only one that you can plug your kettle or your toaster or something else into, you still have plugs on the outside of this that you can plug into and actually have real power, not just kind of, you know, regular power that you would have in a gas-powered vehicle. The other thing that's cool is this hard tonneau cover. It does remove in panels here, which is really cool. There's a manual one and a powered one. This is the manual powered one. I will say this is nice and strong, so really clean, well put together truck here. Let's take a look at a couple things inside now. So before we head to the front seat, I do want to jump in the back seat because one of my big problems with any mid-size pickup truck is rear seat space. I've actually not sat in this vehicle before yet in the back, so let's jump in. Driver's seat, I believe, is set to where the driver, Richard, you're going to meet him in a second, is normally sitting. Here's what I love about this. I actually have decent headroom. I'm a 6-footer sitting behind a driver's seat. The seat actually is back a long ways. I have plenty of knee room. I have good foot room underneath there, and my legs are on the seat. So many vehicles you sit with your legs up like that, and that makes it uncomfortable. So you can actually sit 4 to 5 people in here. 5-person in the middle, maybe less comfortable because it's a middle seat. But again, with electric vehicles, or at least most electric vehicles, you have that flat floor. Now, I was in the new Model 3 just yesterday. The Model 3 brings a display screen to the backseat passengers. That's a huge benefit over my 2022 Model Y, which still does not have a display in the back. Rivian does the same thing here. They've got a display screen here. And then because that gear tunnel, which is right out here, stretches so far across, you may end up with a situation where you want to access something without getting out in the rain, or maybe something slides down the middle and you just can't reach it that well. You could access the gear tunnel through behind the armrest over here. So a whole bunch of practicalities built in here, in addition to all sorts of hooks, all kinds of pockets, and overall just comfort and luxury. That's the other thing I'll point out in here as we move to the front seat. You're going to see a level of luxury here that really isn't in my Tesla. And I'm a fan of my Tesla, but this is definitely nicer. So let's jump to the front and show you some of that stuff now. All right, so we're gonna jump inside the Rivian right now, and you can sort of see a lot of familiarity if you're familiar with Tesla. This is not at all related to Tesla, but there's certainly some influence here. The difference that I find as we go fully wide angle on the camera here, it might skew the view a little bit, but the difference I find compared to a Tesla when you look at this is this one definitely has a better overall viewing environment as far as familiarity with a regular vehicle. So as we sit here, you can see you do have a proper dash right here. Now again, anytime you're filming a screen, you're going to see more glare than you would see in real life because the camera's got one eye, we've got two, we kind of diffuse that. So you've got a lot of options up here. If you take a look at the side of the dash right here, you've got efficiency gauges right there, which will give you a sense of what kind of range you're getting, but you also can substitute some of those things with things like your navigation, other kinds of things. And then you've got a whole bunch of things over here. So there's obviously you can have navigation through here, but this screen here, first of all, I'll point out it is a much wider screen than my Tesla Model Y, so it is a bigger screen that shows off better. And there's some similarities to Tesla. When I tap this, it'll bring up the stability, or I'm reading the signs here. When I tap this, it'll bring up the climate type control, but you do have a whole bunch of off-road type situations in there. So I'll just tap that for a second. We'll bring up, again, one of the things that's pretty cool is as you work on the vents here, you can move those vents around just like this. So again, same thing as Tesla. You can tap those things, move them around. And then of course we put that down by tapping in there. You've got all kinds of things. So this one can tow a trailer. Don't always recommend doing that for long distances with a electric vehicle. We can talk about that. I mean, that's pretty well documented, but you can tow. If you're towing a boat to the lake, this is going to tow it better than just about anything you have. Off-road and on-road modes. You've got lots of drive modes, lots of options in here. So again, very familiar interface, well laid out. And again, the thing I like about this the most is there's very much a luxury feel here. So where my Tesla has sort of a minimalist look, this decorates up that minimalist look with a very cool wood look. You've got the carved in Rivian name, and there's no question that the seats in this vehicle and the overall look is a nice step up. One thing I will point out, massive glass roof in here, a lot like my Model Y. You know, can create some heat, but definitely gives you a pretty cool view of nature, both inside and outside. So in no way is my review here intended to be a complete review of this vehicle. What I will say, as someone who's studied EVs for a while, who's owned a number of pickup trucks, who's owned a Jeep, a couple of Jeeps, off-road stuff, and who currently drives a Tesla Model Y, all of those vehicles combined into one is what this is on paper. And what do I think of it in real life? It's pretty awesome. But we have to talk about the realities of owning an EV right now. And to do that, I'm going to pull in the two owners of this vehicle who have been driving across the country into places that I would never take an EV. And we're going to talk to them about their journey. And like I said, a link in the description, you'll be able to see their YouTube channel, their website, and you can follow them for more. But let's bring them in right now. All right, so here's the cool thing about this truck. This is Richard, this is Nicole, and this truck is not just a normal Rivian. This is a Rivian that has gone from BC, again, we're filming in Canada, from British Columbia, up through Yukon, Northwest Territories, across the country. I'm on the East Coast, so I'm on a time zone that is one further east than like New York City's time zone and Boston's time zone. So we're full on East Coast. They've gone another half time zone past that into Newfoundland and Labrador. All these places that I don't think I would go. So I'm gonna be really honest. I bought my Tesla Model Y because I was nervous about the charge network. So tell me about your journey. Tell me about what you guys have done and why you guys do what you do with this thing.
Yeah, it's been an adventure, that's for sure. We're calling it the Great Canadian EV Adventure.
Right, and their website is in the link in the description. Same with the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the hardest parts were northern BC, and then the piece between Winnipeg and Sudbury, and there's nothing in Labrador.
Yeah.
No. But so, we topped up all the way in Labrador so that we didn't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, like the benefit to people in the EV group of people, which is going to be a lot more of us in the future, the benefit of what you guys do is you are here to say, hey, this is a completely possible to do, but you're also not lying about it. You've had struggles along the way. There's places where you've had to top up at RV parks and, you know, level 2, level 1 charging, that kind of thing. Yeah. So tell me about, like I went to what is it called? Nova Scotia top ends, Bodeka, the trail, Cabot Trail. You guys have been there as well.
Yes.
Right now there's one fast charger to do the whole Cabot Trail. It's at the bottom of the trail. It's just not convenient, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So these guys are proving that one, traveling with an electric vehicle is possible, but the inconveniences of it are there. So tell me about where you guys have had the hardest time to travel. So tell me about your little experience there with EV charging. You said You already mentioned that. Labrador,
Yeah.
there's nothing.
Yeah, Labrador. We were anticipating that there wasn't going to be very much charging. We just plugged in 120 volt at a Airbnb in
Yeah, so
Labrador.
that's plugging in the same voltage that you would your cell phone. So think of your cell phone charging.
Yeah.
That's what this thing's charging on at sometimes.
Yeah, you can get about, on this truck, roughly 100 kilometers of range over a 24-hour period. So if you're parked for 2 days, it's enough to get most places.
Right, but you've also been on super fast charging. And what will this charge do for you with super fast charging, roughly?
The fastest we got up to was 212 kilowatts at a Rivian charger, which roughly is about 975 kilometers an hour. Outside of that, because there aren't any Rivian chargers in Canada so far,
Yep.
the fastest one we had was a Shell Recharge Solutions, which
Right.
was 194 kilowatts, which is about 925 kilometers of range an hour.
Right, and
Took
there
us
is
23 minutes.
23 minutes to put. And the other thing we should point out is when we're talking about kilometers of charge per hour, that's how Tesla does kind of things, and that can change. So although this is the most efficient electric pickup truck, my Model Y is more efficient than it, and a Model 3 is more efficient, and you can find all kinds of ways to have more efficiency. So when you're talking about 900 kilometers of range per hour, that is exceptionally fast charging when you consider that this is still a pickup truck that has to move a close to 7,000 pound vehicle, 4 motors driving this thing. So that's a lot of speed. Now, a couple other things I want to talk about. People say EVs can't go in the winter and range is an issue. You guys are traveling, there's snow outside. It's freezing cold outside right now. I'm just dressed like this to try to be okay for video. You guys are in winter jackets, but my hands are absolutely frozen off. Tell me about traveling in the winter in Canada. We do lose range on EVs.
Yep.
Is it doable?
Well, you lose range on EVs, but you also lose range on a gas vehicle.
That's what people
and what
forget.
people don't really think about is it's about the same
Right.
amount of range you lose. But like when you're going to a gas station, you just go there. You're going a little more frequently. You don't think about it. I mean, for us, we've just been able to work with it, and it wasn't too bad. It really hasn't gotten that cold.
Right.
Which,
This
I
year.
mean, global warming, right? That's a whole thing too. It's one of the big reasons we wanted to do this kind of a trip, is because we really care about the environment, and I think it's a big thing that we need to change. But yeah, it's been okay. There's been a few tricks about learning how to precondition properly.
Yep, that's a big one.
That's a huge one.
So
Yeah.
one thing I'll mention that I think sometimes people forget, for people like me who are not planning to travel across country, although I really want to do that, but are not planning to travel across the country right now, I went on a trip yesterday, and the one key thing with an EV is my garage is my gas station.
Right.
So I was able to leave with a full charge yesterday, do a complete drive, and then when I came home, my car tells me how much I'm going to need to charge. So on a Tesla network, it'll tell you, hey, you got to hit this charger for a few minutes before you get home. And that's the key with the fast charging is when I went to one place, I stopped at a mall, I did a level 2 charge, it was charging very, very slowly. But coming home, I had to make a gas stop, an electric stop. And what was really cool for me is I pulled in behind a pickup truck. I pulled into the Tesla charger, I happen to drive a Tesla. It's very fast charging. I stopped for about 5 minutes. It told me I needed to do a 5-minute charge in order to make it home. And that ultra fast charging added all kinds of range to me in 5 minutes. And I actually pulled out with the same pickup truck that I followed into the gas station. He pulled out just behind me. So
Yeah, there you
yes,
go.
he got a full tank of fuel, but I only had to get enough range to get home. And of course, my car's
That's
got
awesome.
400-ish kilometers of range in the winter once it's warmed up and that kind of thing. And so that was kind of the one thing that happened to me is some of these fast charging networks, it really matters for everyday driving. You make 5-minute stops, 7-minute stops, 15-minute stops. So yes, you need to compromise with an EV, but not as much as you would think for regular driving. But if there's a compromise to be made, these guys are making it. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I wanna link to their channel. They don't have the followers that they deserve. This is an amazing trip that they're going on. If you're an EV fan, if you're a Rivian fan, if you're just kind of curious, taking the politics out of all these things, there are still issues with EVs, charge networks, all kinds of things. There are still issues with vehicles like this. It can tow incredible amounts of weight, but you can't tow heavy weights, long distances very efficiently. So there's still things with EVs, and I'm not saying EVs are for everyone, but if EVs are going to become ready for more people, it's because of guys like you, people like you, that are going to travel across the country and show us where the problems are and also dispel a lot of the myths. So, what's your website again? I can't remember EV, it's on the back of the truck.
evroadtrip.ca.
evroadtrip.ca, that's linked in the description. Also, your YouTube channel is linked in the description. You guys are on Facebook as well. So lots of ways to follow these guys. They deserve some following. Give them following. And if you have any questions for me, I think we should keep in touch.
Definitely.
So we're
Absolutely.
gonna connect up. If you have questions and you want to put it on my channel, I can pass that on there. If you just put it in the comment section on this channel, I'll pass along your questions to them, and they'll be able to help you out as well. So thanks guys for coming to Fredericton.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
if
Thanks
you're
so much,
in
Peter.
Fredericton, you guys know that I do a lot of filming at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. I'm filming this. What is it today? Monday.
Today is Monday.
Tuesday, the February. What is it tomorrow? February. I don't have my watch on me with the
I
right
believe
date.
that's the 13th.
February 13th, day before Valentine's Day. I'll have this up before then, so it'll probably be today or yesterday, no, tomorrow or today. You can head out to Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. They'll be at the Fast Charger there doing an event. There's apple cider. You tell me more?
There is apple cider. We have a bunch of invites out to people all over
All
the
kinds of
place.
stuff.
The EV Association leaders are all going to be there. There's, I believe, a Lightning's coming. A couple other EVs. that'll
Yeah, I
be
think
there.
they might have a Lightning in stock right now at
Yeah.
Jim Gilbert's. So
Yeah,
there's
you'll
lots
be able
of,
to see them side by side.
yeah, so you
go.
compare F-150 versus
A lot of
Rivian.
horsepower at that one.
That's true, and I've never seen a Rivian. So again, living in Ontario in the past, you know, Rivian was coming out, but I moved out here. There's just no Rivians out here. Even Teslas are a lot more rare out here than other parts of the world. So if you want to see a Rivian up close, these guys will let you take a look at it. Really cool stuff, really cool people. Thanks guys for coming out, and we'll catch you guys in the next
My
video.
pleasure.
Thank you.